Hello and good evening. My name is Carrie B. Dean, and welcome to A Dullard Speaking. Tonight, I'm just speaking things that are just popping off the top of my head. Been hearing a lot about people say they voted for Trump because of his policies, yet they can't quote me not one policy that he's created or made. Um, Project 2025 is definitely not a policy. It is a more or less presidential to-do list that was drawn up for him by all his billionaire buddies and allies, um, having their little say into it, and basically created so that the oppressed white man can prevail in the days of oppression that they're coming out of. And that's funny as heck. Um, but no one's talking about the other side of things that he ran on, such as Christianity. Well, first of all, anyone that has to walk around telling everybody that they're a Christian or calling themselves a Christian probably isn't. Um, I know that's hard to believe and hard to hear, but if you got to go around shouting about what a Christian you are and what a Christian you are and talk about everything that you do for the church, well, I think you need to hit the Bible a bit more and find out what a true Christian is, because you're definitely not following the guidelines that are laid out in the Bible as far as Christian behavior goes. Uh, it's just ridiculous. Uh, I've never understood it. I don't need to announce to the world whether or not I'm Christian. You can tell by my actions whether or not I follow in the faith. To walk around, wearing images of the Christ and all this. Come on. Uh, you're treating Christianity just the way you did Christmas itself. Christmas used to be about the birth of uh, uh, Christ. We've gotten so far away from that now, it's not even funny. Now it's all about the bottom line. There's nothing Christian in the bottom line. You think people would have learned that when Jesus went into a church and overturned all the tables that were collecting money for the church and was throwing the money back out to the people. Why? Well, guess what? Even back in that day, synagogues were just taking the money in, and they were living well, but the church wasn't getting any fixed any better. That should go to tell you. I haven't given to a church collection plate yet that um, they do patches here or there in add-ons and amend things, paint over things, um, tack new siding up, but I haven't had a church yet that did anything that was beneficial to the people contributing to the church fund. Now, there have been some ministers that are at least honest enough to take that money and help families in trouble. Um, they do set up some charities and volunteer for the charities that they set up in some cases. But Ask any of them how many actually walked downtown and seen hungry people and just took them into a restaurant or McDonald's or anywhere and just bought them a sandwich so that they didn't have to be hungry. Ask any of them if they've actually walked down the streets at night to see if there's a soul that they can save. No, most of them are still at home in their beds, just like I am now, safe and sound and tucked away. They're not looking to help anyone. They're not out searching for the lost souls. So to do all that screaming about how Christian you are is ridiculous. Might as well keep your mouth shut because your actions say otherwise. It's nice to give in the church and associate with only the people surrounding the church. It's much harder to go out into the real world and practice what has been preached to you. One, when you're out in the real world, most people don't want to talk about Christianity. Two, um, what they consider the real world is actually pathetic because the real world means that you have to deny yourself the pleasure of knowing you helped someone else because you got to be afraid that they're going to rip you off. You know what? If someone has begged me for money and they don't use it for what they say they need to use it for, well, the next time I see them, I just don't give them anything. Okay? Yeah, it hurts my feelings that I thought I was trying to help someone and they didn't, they weren't honest. But that's between them and their code of morality. I can't say too much on that. As far as me, I'm not going to change. If I see someone in need that I truly think needs my help, I'm going to try to help them. If they got over on me, big deal. Because I probably would have only wasted the money on something frivolous that I really didn't need anyway. And yes, I am poor. I'm among the poor of the Americans. Uh, I'm very good at helping other people get rich, but as far as me, I'm sorry. Because to me, you work a job, they hand you a paycheck. Think about this. Let's think about this. They hand you a paycheck. You get the paycheck. Right away, the government's already taken the taxes out against your paycheck. The taxes are supposed to be going to the very programs that Trump is now trying to alleviate. Uh, but they take the money out. So now you have a net of the gross that you have to report that you made. Well, I feel this way. If you've already taken taxes out of my paycheck and only given me a net of the gross, when I report my taxes, I should only be reporting what I actually received, not what I hadn't received. So our whole tax system is ass backwards because I then have to report on the gross take out what they said they took out for taxes, and then they can still come back and tell you that, oh, you didn't pay enough in taxes. Well, excuse me, but you tax me on just about everything I need to purchase. You you taxes out on our education. Not exactly taxes, but you can't say it's taxes because I got to keep recertifying, even though I've already been accredited with the credentials that I know what I'm talking about because I went to school. I paid my way through school to get those credentials. So I know I have those credentials. But oh no, those credentials don't mean anything unless you keep paying them the little $1,600 to some, in some cases $4,500 every year to say you're certified up again. Well, if you're going to start doing that, that means every time an auto mechanic goes to change a tire, every 6 months, he's going to have to recertify up to show that he knows how to change a tire. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Um, all of these certifications and things came up because more women in other non-desirables were coming up in the tech world. Were coming up in jobs that were mostly reserved for the they they say educated, but mostly the rich white boys club was were in. Oh yeah, I'll be a tech because I can be lazy as a tech because I can just become a manager and then let all these other underlings do the work and then I take all the credit for the job that they did. If you actually put Elon Musk in front of a computer and actually put a bug on his computer, I guarantee you he couldn't fix it, but he'd call one of his minions to come fix it for him. That's what people don't get. They're not more intelligent. Duh. Look at the mess that they've caused in our Congress already. And, and just as most of us thought, they're still trying to blame the Democrats, and the House and the Senate is completely Republican. So the Republicans have control of both the House and the Senate, and they're still trying to blame the Democrats for their failures and not being able to get a balanced budget. Democrats had nothing to do with it. You guys put up measures and bills and everything else that the Democrats was willing to work with you on and was ready to pass, and you allowed Trump before he was even inaugurated to tell you hold up on that. Don't do that. Now you're trying to pass this to-do list off of 2025 and sneak it in, just sneak it in. Take a bill that's already written and then we just add in a few extra lines to say, hey, look, if you just change this and that, then we'll keep this program. Well, guess what? You might as well just do what you're doing. Get rid of the program because the stuff that was in 2025 is not going to improve that program not one bit, and it's going to create less jobs, increase in taxes, whether people like it or not. I mean, Trump's already reneged on that. Before he even got in office, good, he was already reneging on that. That oh no, he's not going to be able to do any of the crap that he said on the campaign trail. Of course he couldn't. Oh, wait, he told the truth. And now you're going, oh shit, Sleepy Joe wasn't that bad off because the economy was better under him. Well, yeah, it was. Because he was actually making progress. He had to first clean up all the mess that Trump caused with the COVID debacle. He had to first clean up all the mess Trump caused in the stock market with his tariffs on China. Okay? Which drove the prices of eggs up, by the way. And that's why we had inflation, by the way, because it happened under Trump's watch in April of 2020. Biden was just the president elect. Okay, he was just the official that had been the representative to be president. He was not the actual president yet. He had not won in the electorate. Um, we hadn't even got down to voting because it happened in April of 2020 that all the prices went sky high again and gas was up and everything else. Gas was down already when Trump came into office because Obama had already written in policies, actual policies. Oh, there's a novelty. A president actually writing a policy that helped the American people get lower gas prices and get lower grocery prices. And inflation was still kind of there, but it was coming down, just like under Biden. Just as he finished cleaning up all the mess that was left from the Republican Party during the COVID debacle, um, financially and everything. I mean, this country is in a free fall. Most of us lost jobs. Oh, employers weren't even firing you, and they still don't. Trump with Trump in office, they don't have to fire you now. Uh, how Dollar General does it is they just don't call you back and don't ever put you on the ticket to work a shift, and then they say, well, you never called them and never contacted them to find out if you were on the books for the shift when they don't respond to your phone calls. So they say, well, they never received any calls from you. Next thing you know, oh, well, I walked in and talked to one manager, and she said, well, I guess I'll just tell them you quit. I said, I guess that's what you'll do. I said, because I've been trying to contact you guys to find out when you want to put me back on the thing, on the schedule. And she just looked me straight in my face and let me know that's not company policy. That's not how it works. How it works is we'll just say that you quit, therefore we don't have to pay you any unemployment for not having reinstated you. Well, that was a nice blowback. Um, I just shook my head. I was one of those people still sitting on the fence. I just shook my head. I didn't say a word about it. Just moved on with my life and had lots of health problems. That's the reason why I wasn't in work for 2 weeks prior to all of that happening. Um, because I was in the hospital having my gallbladder removed. And that's another thing. I went to go have my gallbladder removed, and it's like, oh, we don't care. You came back with the doctor's paperwork saying that you can't lift by so many pounds or anything else. Oh, we don't care this, that, the other. Um, you're just lazy and don't want to work. Well, guess what? the reason why I ended up in the hospital having my gallbladder removed was because I wasn't taking care of my health, and that was on me because I was too busy trying to keep a job so I can keep a roof over my head. So I was working any hours they would give me because that's the other thing. None of those kind of companies like the Dollar General and Dollar Tree have, there's very few staff working a full 40-hour work week. And the ones that are working a full 40-hour work week, well, that's because they're managers or whatever else, and they can work a full 40-hour work week. All the rest of us, sales clerks and everybody else, depending on how late the store stays open, there's 2 to 3 shifts at any Dollar General that you go to. And you walk in, you work your shift, and guess what happens? You catch a lot of crap, especially when they put you on the late shift. Um, you don't have the title or seniority or the authority to be the person to close out at night or whatever else. But guess what? They're going to give you the key and have you close the doors anyway because who's going to give them blowback for doing it? Well, not I, little miss who needs the job in order to stay alive. Of course, I'm not going to say anything about it. But this is how things go. This is just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but these things happen. And you recall there were lots of articles that can back up what I'm saying because the DG was in a lot of world of hurt in 2023 for all the underhanded things they were doing. And it seems like they're back at it again of late. I walked into a DG because it's close to my house and wrote my bike over there, walked in, bought a few items, and left the store, start looking at my receipt. Well, they took out 78 cents to give to literacy. I didn't ask them to give to literacy out of my money. I don't have money like that to be given to literacy. If I had money to give to literacy, I would give to literacy. I don't need a store pulling money off my card for literacy. You know, there was a couple of other things down there that were weird and weird taxes and stuff. And I'm going, wow, this is how we're going to do it now. We're just going to steal the money from you. And it's not called stealing, it's just the price of business. Well, guess what? enough enough people start reading their receipts before they walk out of your store and seeing that you're taking out money for charities and stuff that they may not want to support. um let's see how well your business does. I think it's ridiculous. The government agency that they were already taking taxes out of our money to set up courses for literacy and everything else, well, you guys want to tear down now. So if you want to tear that down, don't take it out on me when I go to buy my groceries. That's not fair. Okay? But let's talk about 1776, okay? Since you guys like going back to the past. What was the reason? We were overthrowing the British, coming over here trying to still dominate and rule over the English that ran away from England to get away from the king. So the Brits were coming over to show that we still have dominance over you. um, yeah, it was that thing about the price of tea, right? Remember that? Well, it looks like at this day and age we're into another going to be revolution if these prices keep soaring the way they're soaring. Um, so instead of talking about who all Trump threatened with tariffs and everything else, let's start holding his feet to the fire on why he hasn't done what he had promised. And that's get started on some policies that will lower the prices of eggs and necessities needed. Okay, medicines. All the medicine prices have all gone back up. Have you noticed? Yeah, he couldn't let them Dems get out of office without spoiling their good record. Come on, it's their fault that the prices of medicines are high. It's their faults. Everything bad is on the Democrats. And yet, it was the Democrats time and time again over the last close to 20 years now that have had to bail the freaking Republicans out because they get into their own feelings about things and step on their own toes. That's the sad part about it. Um, all these people running around crying about, oh, my family member got deported, this, that, and the other. What did you think was going to happen? The man stood there and told you what he was going to do. He told you how he was going to do it. And you still voted for him. Heck, he called half of the Latino population freaking trash. And they still voted for him. Guess what? Don't cry about it now. Stop crying. Take action. Voice to your Republican Party representatives and stuff that, hey, next time come around, they might be unseated. Let them know. We're not going to keep standing for this. In this country, it's supposed to be based on the electric by the people, not electoral college. Okay? This electoral college bull crap was a way for the rich men to keep control. Don't you know? I'm sorry, I get a little silly and I'm getting a little preachy, so I digress. But these things just bother me when I see more and more people getting trounced on a daily basis at workplaces and everything else because there's nothing in favor of the people other than what they can arrest you on. And it's getting worse. So that's the third thing you need to look at. Trump keeps saying smaller government, and he's cutting out departments and everything else to make it a smaller government. Excuse me, those agencies and stuff were put in place to safeguard our civil liberties, our rights, our freedoms. Well, now that he stripped most of that away, you want to cry about it? Well, obviously you didn't want those rights and freedoms in the first place, or else you would have really listened to him say nothing. Oh, I think he would have caught on right about the time that he screamed in the middle of a debate that they're eating dogs and cats. But oh no, he's gonna make America white again, is what most people were thinking. America has never been anything but white. Everywhere the English have gone, they've left crap behind for other people to have to clean up years after they're gone. I'm sorry, you can't name one place that a white man has gone that he didn't destroy the ecology, economy, and everything else and left it for others to have to step in and clean up. So please, don't talk to me about your white pride because you have nothing to be prideful of, especially talking about the blacks need to go back to Africa. Well, excuse me, you should have left us in Africa. You went tracing off to Africa because you didn't want to do the work yourself. So you went and bought yourself some workers. Everybody knows the number one trade in America was in slavery. Had nothing to do with crops and everything else. Everybody says, oh, yeah, it was the number one market was wheat and the number one market was corn or the number one market was potato. Come on, that's bullcrap. Number one market in America as she was being formed was in how many slaves could you own? Okay? The biggest commodity was in people trafficking. America was built on people trafficking. They don't want to admit it, but that's all it was. You trafficked a lot of people, trapped them, brought them over here. Okay? Abuse your authority any way you want it because there were no rules or regulations to stop you from doing so. So you created your own rules and regulations. Oh, and you even went in and said, well, let's let's re-up the King James version of the Bible and oh yeah, let's add a few words here or there. Oh yeah, well King James had already added his own few words here or there. So basically what we call the Bible, even before Trump's now bastardized it, has just been that. So when all these people are running around being proud because they're Christians, please explain to me how you think you're a Christian. Uh, I don't get it. Well, I guess it's time for me to wrap this up. So, in wrapping up, all I can say is if you call yourself a Christian and you're praising Trump, boy, is that the most ironic, idiotic phrasing that I have ever heard. On that note, good night.